Hello, this is Ben with SmplBox, and we're going to go over the S2HA endpoint today. So this is a pretty simple 3D printed design. You're going to have a very similar experience to the S1 endpoint, only this is for 2 devices per case. So you could deploy this and have an HA experience, or you could just have 2 workstations, depending on how you'd like to do it. So to start with, the device has one board mounted on the top and one board mounted on the bottom. And you can see here we're going through parts. We're showing you the parts that you're going to be using today. And yeah, so we'll get right into it here in a second. But basically the idea is that you're going to have a top and bottom mounted as opposed to just a bottom mounted in the S1 endpoint. So yeah, so now that we're starting, we're going to start with the sides. We're going to heat set the rivets into the side panel at all 4 corners. This would be 8 heat set rivets. Again, this is very similar to the S1 endpoint. You're going to want to make sure that you heat set these rivets slowly so that you don't damage the plastic around the rivet. You can easily melt too much plastic as you insert it. If you're having any issues, do it slower. Only push it in a part of the way. Wait a second, let it cool off just a little bit, and then continue to move it down further into the rivet hole. And you can see me doing this in the background, and we'll just continue heat setting these until the next part. Next, we're going to insert the 2.5mm screws through the bottom board or the top board. You can do either one first. You're going to want to make sure you do this for both though, and attach the standoff to the back side. And we're going to do that for all 4 for each board. And at that point in time, we're going to move on to the next step. Now that we're at the next step, we're going to be screwing the bottom and top boards to the PCB, or rather the PCBs to the bottom and top boards. This is pretty straightforward. Again, you're going to want to make sure you put the PCB boards on and attach them with washers. This is pretty easy to start, but if you have any issues, you may want to use a pair of pliers to get them started. And again, as you watch, we're going to go through the boards, and then at that point in time, we're going to make sure that we get all the extra pieces attached. Alright, now that we have the boards attached to the top and bottom, the PCB boards attached to the top and bottom, we're going to attach the fans to the side panel. The side panel is going to have 3 fans. Here you can see we're attaching the fan cover to the case to the fans. We're going to put the screws straight through, and these screws should be, again, something that comes default with the fans. You can find these in our link on the site, and it'll take you to an Amazon link. So anyways, yeah, make sure you put the fans in, make sure you orient them kind of as shown, make sure all the cables are coming out the same side, or however you'd like it to be, so that it's easiest for you to manage. Now that we have the fans and the fan cover attached to the side panel, and we have the PCBs attached to the top and bottom of the case, we're going to start combining the entire device. So first off, let's attach the bottom board. It should be the one with the 2 extra holes in it, to the side panel. At this point in time, you're going to want to orient the case on its side, the side down, put the bottom on the top of the sides, and make sure that the PCB is facing towards the I/O panel. Now that you have this oriented correctly, put the screws in as you see fit. Again, 4 corners, 4 screws is pretty straightforward. The holes in the top and bottom board should have a little bit more wiggle room in case you had some issues heat setting the inserts into the side panel, so it should be a little bit forgiving here. Alright, now we're going to attach all the cables to your devices. This is again for the bottom mounted one and the top mounted one. We're going to want to make sure that we put this through the center of the I/O panel, so you might want to pull the I/O panel up a little bit, run your cables through, and then at that point in time put the I/O panel down. Again, this is just for your power, your HDMI, any internal devices you want to run. If you want to externally power the fans, you could also do that and run that cable through the center pieces. Lastly, we're going to attach the top. We're going to screw the 4 screws in, as you can see in the background here, and you're off to the races. We suggest that when you do any of your cabling, as you can see here, I'm using a piece of plastic to demonstrate this. Make sure you're putting it through the side that has the zip ties. Make sure that when you put the 2 sides together, you're not pinching anything. Make sure all the cables are free of the SBCs so they don't get overheated or melt any plastic. And yeah, you should be able to use any cables with this design. There shouldn't be any issues with custom ports or anything like that. We designed this so that you use a 1-foot cable or a 6-foot cable if you'd like. You're going to also want to make sure that that zip tie piece is used, there's gonna be 2 holes and a little channel on the bottom side that you could put a zip tie through, and you're gonna want to make sure all the cables go next to that, and you're gonna want to make sure you zip tie to the bottom side so it doesn't damage any of the cables if someone pulls on the cords going into the case, because this is one of those things where you gotta make sure that you don't damage your hardware. Now that we've fully attached the bottom, top, and sides, we should be good to go. So yeah, we hope you enjoyed this, and please check out our site.